Chapter 14, Supply Chain Management. These questions are the learning objectives guiding the chapter and will be explored in more detail in the following slides. What is supply chain management? How do supply chains add value? How does a supply chain work? How is a supply chain managed? Nicole Miller has aligned her systems with billing, inventory, and distribution efficiencies through electronic data interchange, also known as EDI, which will be discussed on a later slide. Supply chain management refers to a set of approaches and techniques firms employ to efficiently and effectively integrate their suppliers, manufacturers, warehouses, stores, and transportation intermediaries into a seamless value chain. This slide shows a simplified supply chain in which manufacturers make products and sell them to retailers or wholesalers. A marketing channel is the set of institutions that transfer the ownership of and move goods from the point of production to the point of consumptions. Logistics management describes the integration of two or more activities for the purposes of planning, implementing, and controlling the efficient flow of raw materials, in-process inventory, and finished goods from the point of origin to the point of consumption. Supply chain management, market channel management, and logistics management have similar goals, but often see solutions differently. Without supply chain management, firms would face significant complications in getting their goods to consumers where they want them. The top portion of this slide shows 3 manufacturers, each of which sells directly to 3 consumers in a system that requires 9 transactions. Each transaction costs money. The bottom portion of the slide shows the same 3 manufacturers and consumers, but this time they go through a retailer. The number of transactions falls to 6, and the supply chain becomes more efficient, which adds value for customers by making the transaction more convenient and less expensive. Streamlining supply chain distribution reduced the number of transactions, increases value for consumers, and provides a more efficient and effective way to get merchandise to consumers. Customers expect to have their goods delivered and services performed on time. To fulfill delivery promises and meet customer expectations, manufacturers rely on an efficient supply chain. There is no faster way to lose credibility with customers than to promise deliveries or run a promotion and then not have the merchandise when the customer expects it. Now check yourself. 1. How does supply chain management add value? Streamlines distribution and affects marketing. Information flows from the customer to stores, to and from distribution centers, possibly to and from wholesalers, to and from product manufacturers, and then on to the producers of any components and the suppliers of raw materials. The information stored in the data warehouse is accessible on various dimensions and levels, as depicted in the data cube on this slide. As shown on the horizontal axis, data can be accessed according to the level of merchandise aggregation: SKU, item, vendor, category, for example, dresses, or all merchandise. Along the vertical axis, data can be accessed by level of the company, store, divisions, or the total company. Finally, along the third dimension, data can be accessed by point in time, day, season, or year. Electronic Data Interchange, EDI, is the computer-to-computer exchange of business documents from a retailer to a vendor and back. An advanced shipping notice is an electronic document that the supplier sends the retailer in advance of a shipment to tell the retailer exactly what to expect in the shipment. Typically, EDI is transmitted over the Internet through either intranets or extranets. Popular in the grocery and drug industries, collaboration, planning, forecasting, and replenishment, CFPR, is an inventory management system that uses an EDI through which a retailer sends information to a manufacturer. Here we see the major differences between push and pull supply chains. With a pull supply chain, the orders for merchandise are generated at the store level on the basis of sales data captured by POS terminals. An alternative and less sophisticated approach is a push supply chain, in which merchandise is allocated to stores on the basis of forecasted demand. Once a forecast is developed, specified quantities of merchandise are shipped, pushed, to distribution centers and stores at predetermined time intervals. We can also see that each supply chain strategy is more effective in certain situations. Now check yourself. 1. What are the various supply chain links associated with each information flow step? Flow 1, customer to store. Flow 2, store to buyer. Flow 3, buyer to manufacturer. Flow 4, store to manufacturer. Flow 5, store to distribution center. Flow 6, manufacturer to distribution center and buyer. 2. What is the difference between push and pull supply chains? In a pull supply chain, orders for merchandise are generated at the store level on the basis of sales data captured by POS terminals. In a push supply chain, the merchandise is allocated to stores on the basis of forecasted demand. This slide illustrates the different types of merchandise flows. If the merchandise goes through distribution centers, it is then shipped to stores and then to customers. Students may know that Dell sells through retailers, but also directly to end consumers. A distribution center's advantages include more accurate sales forecasts due to many stores and lower inventory in each store, leading to lower overall inventory costs. With a distribution center, overstocks and understocks tend to be less of a problem. Finally, due to their often remote locations, it is less expensive to store in a remote warehouse than expensive retail location. These are the main responsibilities and the flow within the distribution center. Because its distribution centers typically are quite busy, a dispatcher assigns a time slot for shipments to arrive. If a truck misses the time slot, it is fined. Although many manufacturers pay transportation expenses, some retailers negotiate with their vendors to absorb this expense. Receiving refers to the process of recording the receipt of merchandise as it arrives at a distribution center or store. Checking is the process of going through the goods upon receipt to ensure they arrive undamaged and that the merchandise ordered was the merchandise received. Radio frequency identification tags are tiny computer chips that automatically transmit to a special scanner all of the information about a container's contents or individual products. These tags help to automate the receiving and checking process. There are 3 types of distribution centers: traditional, cross-docking, and combinations. A traditional distribution center is a warehouse in which merchandise is unloaded from trucks and placed on racks or shelves for storage. In a cross-docking distribution center, vendors ship merchandise pre-packaged in the quantity required for each store. Most modern distribution centers are neither pure warehouse nor pure cross-docking systems, but instead combine the two. Ticketing and marking refers to creating price and identification labels and placing them on the merchandise. Some retailers force their suppliers to ship merchandise floor-ready, that is, ready to be placed on the floor immediately, thus totally eliminating the expensive, time-consuming process of ticketing and marking. Shipping merchandise to stores is quite complex for multi-store chains. Distribution centers use a sophisticated routing and scheduling computer system that considers the rate of sales in the store, road conditions, and transportation operating constraints to develop the most efficient routes possible. Just-in-time inventory systems, also known as quick response systems in retailing, are inventory management systems designed to deliver less merchandise on a more frequent basis than traditional inventory systems. The firm gets merchandise just in time for it to be used in the manufacture of another product or for sale when the customer wants it. The benefits of a JIT system include reduced lead time, increased product availability, and lower inventory investment. Now check yourself. 1. What happens at each step of the merchandise flow in a typical supply chain? The distribution center is responsible for coordinating inbound transportation, receiving, checking, storing, and cross-docking, getting merchandise floor-ready, and coordinating outbound transportation. 2. Why are just-in-time supply chain systems becoming so popular? JIT leads to reduced lead time, increased product availability, and lower inventory investment. When supply chain members are not in agreement about their goals, roles, or rewards, supply chain or channel conflict occurs. Supply chain conflict can be resolved through a good negotiation process. But when issues can't be worked out, relationships can fall apart, and the firms may go their separate ways. In an independent or conventional supply chain, the several independent members each attempt to satisfy their own objectives and maximize their own profits, often at the expense of other members. However, in a vertical marketing system, the supply chain members act as a unified system. In an independent or conventional supply chain, the several independent members each attempt to satisfy their own objectives and maximize their own profits, often at the expense of other members. In an administered vertical marketing system, there is no common ownership and no contractual relationships, but the dominant channel member controls the channel relationship. In contractual virtual marketing systems, independent firms at different levels of the supply chain join together through contracts to reduce conflict. A corporate vertical marketing system is one in which the parent company has complete control and can dictate the priorities and objectives of the supply chain. When managing supply chains, more often than not, firms seek a strategic relationship, also called a partnering relationship, in which the supply chain members are committed to maintaining the relationship over the long term and investing in opportunities that are mutually beneficial. The National Milk Processor Board are the originators of this ad campaign, helping fuel growth in consumption due to increased competition by other drinks. Increase in milk consumption favors the processors, the farmers, the distributors, and the retailers, many members of the supply chain. Now check yourself. 1. What are the different types of vertical marketing systems? Administered, contractual, corporate. 2. How do firms develop strong strategic partnerships with their supply chain partners? Successful strategic relationships require mutual trust, open communication, common goals, and credible commitments. Merchandise cartons that are cross-docked are pre-packaged by the vendor for a specific store. Manufacturers can ship merchandise either directly to a store or to a distribution center, where it is then shipped to the store. Electronic Data Interchange, EDI, is the computer-to-computer exchange of business documents from a retailer to a vendor and back. Just-in-time inventory systems are inventory management systems designed to deliver less merchandise on a more frequent basis than traditional inventory systems. Radio frequency identification, RFID tags, are tiny computer chips that automatically transmit to a special scanner all the information about a container's contents or individual products. A strategic relationship or partnering relationship involves the supply chain members being committed to maintaining the relationship over the long term and investing in opportunities that are mutually beneficial. Supply chain management is a set of approaches and techniques firms employ to integrate their suppliers, manufacturers, warehouses, stores, and transportation intermediaries into a seamless operation in which merchandise is produced and distributed in the right quantities, to the right locations, and at the right time, as well as to minimize system-wide costs while satisfying the service levels that their customers require. Vendor Managed Inventory, VMI, is an approach for improving supply chain efficiency in which the manufacturer is responsible for maintaining the retailer's inventory levels in each of its stores.